That is Amber Joy Poulton, who, if we press the right buttons, we might speak to very, very shortly. She is a country artist that does her own thing, but also does tribute shows for a range of... So I think, you know what we should do, Rob? I think we should talk to her and say, hello, Amber.
Hello.
Now, you're in Adelaide. By my reckoning, the local time is 1978. Sorry, I had to say it.
That's not fair.
I once said that at the Adelaide Oval, thinking I was only broadcasting back into Melbourne, and there was a very angry group of Adelaide people came up and thumped on the front of the commentary box.
They're very protective, but that's what you're talking about.
Just before we get on to the show, Amber, what's the city of Adelaide like this weekend? You've got out much? Because apparently it's full of Victorians.
Oh, yeah. Well, lucky for me, I live 3 hours out of Adelaide in a little town called Corny Point. So I am currently looking out at the ocean and I cannot see one Victorian.
Beautiful. Hey, listen, I want to do this because it's important. I lived in South Australia for a while and I did hear that you lived in a place called Corny Point. So I'm going to ask you, where the hell is Corny Point?
If you're looking at the map of South Australia, you'll see a foot. And we are on the bunion of that foot on the York Peninsula. So you go up and out of Adelaide North and then you swing left and you head over to the coast. It's a little fishing town, but it's lots of surfing. So I currently have an empty household because everybody's gone surfing because there's swell today.
Yeah, beautiful.
So is that on the bumper sticker? Corny Point, the bunion of South Australia.
Yeah, actually we've got where the bloody hell are you?
Oh, okay, yes, excellent.
Beautifully done. And it's a bit dry over there, I suppose?
Yeah, we haven't had rain for about a year.
Yeah.
We're currently, because we're all on rainwater over here, so we're currently getting water in from trucks and screaming at people to get out of the shower about people's hygiene because we don't want them to go and have a shower.
Amber, interesting the choice of Corny Point in that you are a person who needs lots of people around you to function and you've gone to a place where there's not many. Is that to hide? Is it just the preferred lifestyle and then you're prepared to do the travel required to get to your audiences?
Yeah, you're learning about me very quickly. I love to entertain. I call myself socially excitable. I love my time alone, but if I'm around people, I get amongst it.
Yeah.
But I do love to be alone, very much so. I love my own space, and if we don't have neighbours, so we've got holiday makers that come and.
You don't have neighbours. Everybody needs good neighbours. I read that somewhere in a documentary.
No, I think also in the business that I'm in and what you're in, you sort of talk to people all the time. And, you've got to be on your best behaviour. So when you're by yourself, you can just sort of let it all hang out. And that's definitely, there's two parts of my personality.
The outgoing introvert.
Yes, we've had some discussions on this radio station about this, talking about regional Australia and getting professional people to go out and experience the joy of small communities and take their skills with them, particularly in fields like medical and education and entertainment is another one.
Yes. Yeah, and the crowd, I mean, country music's in the country. That's where it started and where it still is. But a lot of these people can't leave their farms to go into the city to the theatres. So when we toured with Coal Miner's Daughter, which we did come to Geelong last year and a couple of times before that, I believe, I made the goal for 2024 and 25 to go rural and metro for all these shows. Because I now live in the country and I see that people do want to go to those things. But they've got to milk cows or they've got to get up and do the reaping or they just can't pick up and leave. They can barely get to the school assemblies for their kids. So, it's really nice to go out to these towns and do country music shows and have people be able to just go to the local town hall like they used to.
So when I was growing up, to say that you had an interest in country music would have been the death knell of any social interaction you might have. These days it seems that country music is having something of a renaissance. Rob, there's a word for you to look up in your funk and wagnalls.
Beautiful.
Are you sensing that as well?
Was that in South Australia or was that Victoria?
Oh no, it was in Victoria.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the good acts from South Australia came to Melbourne. You think about how many have come from South Australia, particularly Adelaide, and made themselves big. They came to Melbourne and did all their concerts here. Right.
It was really interesting because South Australia, I always thought we were the state that would never admit that they liked country music, that they would say, I actually really like country music, but don't tell anyone.
Oh, okay.
When we go to other states, they would just embrace it. They'd have the cowboy hat on and the farmer shirts and all that sort of stuff. But I thought South Australia had that one on their own, but clearly it was in Victoria as well.
Well, Metro Melbourne. So, the sophistication of the eastern suburbs of Melbourne,
Yeah.
Conversation come up with you coming on the show about the great voices of country music and the ones that perhaps went into different genres but did their best. And we're talking about Olivia Newton-John, who's part of your show, is one of those that probably had that banks of the eye, I-ho, I-o, I hate that word, you know what I mean, a period of her singing career when she was probably at her best. But is it those voices and that beautiful female soul singing that got you going?
I don't know. I mean, I grew up in a really musical family, and I was just thinking about my auntie, when you spoke about Olivia Newton-John, because my auntie is Julie Anthony.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I love her.
Yeah, she was around the same time as Olivia, and I remember that era, like remember the Tony Barbers and all that?
Yeah.
And they would do whatever the audience wanted to listen to, but they were just entertaining. They didn't really have a passion for one particular genre. They would put out the covers albums. I remember that being a real thing back then.
Yep. K-Tel had a bit to do with that, I suspect.
Yeah. And I just think they just wanted to entertain the masses, and whatever you want to see, I'm happy to do. For me, growing up, I loved singing, and I was a big fan of country music really young, but then I sort of branched off into Baby Animals, Melissa Etheridge, Divinal, so they definitely influenced me. And then when I moved back from the country town I was living in to Adelaide, I had to change all that to do the covers and the ABBA and Michael Jackson and all the stuff that I really never liked. So there I was again, just doing stuff that people wanted to hear to entertain them. And it wasn't until I was sort of married with kids that I entered a competition in Tamworth for the Star Maker. And then I was able to actually choose what I wanted to do. So that was a really nice moment. And the Olivia Newton-John only really crept into my peripheral in the last probably 5 years. Really, for me, it's the real traditional queens like Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, Dolly Parton. They're the ones that make me tilt my head when I hear them sing.
You've already talked about the Coal Miner's Daughter tour, but we've had people coming to Geelong, or groups coming to Geelong, to do cover type things. We've had Queen and ABBA and Bee Gees and Eagles, others. If you were going to do a tribute tour, who would you like most to do?
I feel like I'm doing it. I mean, I love Loretta. She's my queen.
You got to pick one. Only you say Loretta's the one that you really like.
One. Oh, Karen Carpenter.
Oh, yeah. Hasn't even come. There you go. I'm glad I asked the question. Now we got somewhere else completely.
But that would mean I'd have to be a better singer, because I can't actually do what she does. She's got a range that's as high as anyone and as low as everyone, and I think you have to have that silky sound as well. So I'd have to pick her, but I'd also have to have a magic wand.
Yeah, okay.
And a drum kit.
Yeah.
So are you a musician as well, Amber?
I don't call myself... I do play guitar, but I don't play it well enough, in my opinion, to call myself a musician. So I like to call myself a singer-songwriter, performer. I like to write, so I produced my own shows. So I don't call myself a musician, because I have way too much respect for people out there that are so good at it.
So when you're on stage, sometimes I see people with instruments, and I wonder if it's actually there just almost like a security blanket rather than them being exposed just with a microphone. But are you comfortable with just the microphone and knowing that your voice is going to do the job?
Also defines me definitely not being a musician, because I can't wait to get the guitar off.
Yeah, right.
And I have a lot of friends who feel really weird without it. So that is the difference, I think. I'm not... I'm a singer. I love to sing, and I feel really confident in that. But when I have the guitar on, I just would rather leave it to someone who knows what they're doing.
I have a mate who's a very ordinary guitarist who performs in pubs and stuff, and the primary reason he has a guitar, because he can't play it very well, is along the top of the guitar is his running sheet. So he knows what songs to sing in what order. So he has to be up slightly higher than everyone, so no one who's standing in the front row can go, hey, we know what's coming next.
Most everyone's travelling with iPads nowadays, so it seems to be an accepted thing now.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's an interesting question, Amber. You're doing so much different stuff. Do you get lost sometimes in it all, or you really got such a good handle on what you're doing, it just naturally flows for you?
Definitely the Coal Miner's Daughter, Loretta Lynn, I can do that fully scripted show with 30-something songs and have nothing on stage at all because it's been part of my life since 2017. But with this new show, Man, I Feel Like a Woman, we've got Linda Ronstadt, Tammy Wynette, Shania Twain and a beautiful Olivia Newton-John. Plus we've got all of the story of their life, all the dramas and sagas that they've done and still made it as queens of their own stages. And there's no way I'd be able to remember all that. I'd have to be on some sort of magnificent spectrum to be able to remember all that.
Well, the last person that I saw at the theatre that you are appearing in, and we'll talk very much more about that in a moment, was a person called Marcia Hines, and she came out and laid bits of paper on the floor and said, right. when you get to my age, you can't remember what you're doing, so these are my scripts, all right?
But you'd need glasses to be able to read it.
Yeah, there is that. Yeah, was that why she was on crawling around during songs?
Marsha Hines, what a woman.
She was absolutely exceptional, I've got to say, and people who listen to this program have heard me raving about that night for far too long, so we'll move on. So I think we need to split two things here. One is Amber Joy Poulton is a country music singer from South Australia who has recorded plenty of stuff herself, and we're going to hear one of your songs shortly off the Pretty Pennies album, which I think came out in 2020 off the top of my head. But we do need to talk also about the fact that you do these tribute shows. You've as you said, done Loretta Lynn, this one. Are you the only singer in this show coming up doing all of those five country singers?
Yep, I'm doing all the ladies. I've got...
That's Rob's slogan in life.
I've got a fantastic band. They're called the Governing Bodies, and amongst that group there are three people that do backing vocals. So it's a bit of a joint effort. They're a fantastic band. We've called them the Governing Bodies because they're kind of like the council and the judges of this show, because I am trying to, in this show, as well as presenting their songs and their story, I'm basically pleading with them to induct one of them into my very fictitious Country Music Hall of Fame.
Right. Yep. Love it.
A bit testy at times. There's a bit of arguing, bit of mudslinging. But each time we've done the show, we've had a different queen, which is really interesting because we do the same show, but different towns are electing a different queen. Vote. Yeah.
I had a mate who wrote a thing that ended up in the West End about Eurovision, and he would go into the show with 20 people performing a song representing a country, and each night they would do the same thing. They would have this vote at the end to see who would win it. And he was staggered by the fact, again, they present the same show to a different audience in the same country, and they would get a totally different result.
Yeah, it's quite nice though, really, because it just sort of proves the point that there's enough of an audience out there for everybody. The competition inside the business of people believing they have to sort of be competitive with each other is not true, because you just need to find your audience.
Just on the musicians, you need to make things perfect with your voice and them. You're living in Corny's Point. How difficult is it, rehearsals and to get the show organised, or are you just so comfortable with it now you could be apart for 2 months and come and whack it all together in a hurry?
Yeah, I'm sure they wanted to kill me when I said I was moving. It was about 10 years ago where we were sort of really doing quite well with Coal Miner's Daughter and our own shows, and I was recording music and releasing it. And then I said I'm moving to the country. I think they just about dropped their chins on the floor. But it's been the best thing I've ever done, is moving to the country. And I think the band and they're also the Holy Men, so I've been with them since I started in 2000. I've been with them since about 2009. So that's longer than most marriages. So we do know each other very well. And so we don't really need to constantly rehearse, but we do get together the night before every tour and run each show.
Yeah. So a question in regard to having, and Rob kind of touched on it there, if someone turns up at the Playhouse on the 1st of May, are they going to hear Amber Joy Poulton singing the songs of five music queens, or are we going to hear Amber Joy singing as them, performing as those artists?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it is true. In my life, whenever I've been singing a cover song, I do like to make it sound like the song that they already know and love. But with this show, I am singing it in my own voice, but I do stick to the song map.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people will do a cover song and they'll change it to make it their own. I definitely don't do that because I want people to sing along with me. So no, we keep it pretty true. And look, there's I have to tell you, there's 5 of us, including me, but there's only the 4 women that I'm actually putting forward for this Queens of Country Music Hall of Fame. And I, as well as trying to sort of replicate their style with their music, there are some costume changes in there too. So I'm trying to recreate the vibe that Tammy Wynette created back in the day, and a little bit of the Shania Twain, which you can imagine there is a pair of thigh-high boots involved.
Yeah, we're trying to really hard to concentrate on what we're doing here, Amber. Thank you.
And with the singing, fine, and you've explained that really well, but there's also the showmanship that goes with it.
Personship.
The personship. Is that obviously something I shouldn't say obviously, is that something you really need to work on to mirror that, or you're just focusing on the song itself?
Yeah, I definitely do. I mean, I wouldn't be able to really do Olivia Newton-John justice in describing her career and where she's been and what she's done if I didn't come across some lycra and for the Let's Get Physical. So we leave nothing out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of silliness and it's a lot of comedy. And, if you think about Tammy Wynette, who obviously loved love so much that she kept on doing it. She was married about 6 times. So we do cover off that. And as well as sort of, throwing a bit of comedy at it, it's also, my heart really goes out to Tammy Wynette in that moment. I mean, I'm sure she didn't want to get married 6 times, but she was just trying so hard to combine her career and her life. And sometimes you don't get it right. And off she went. She picked herself off the floor and brushed herself off and released the song Divorce.
Yeah, straight after Stand By Your Man, which is quite ironic as well.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm glad the show has that little piece. And, of course, we famously think of Tina Turner and how tough it was probably for many women to find their place in the industry during that period. Yeah,
because at that time, too, they felt so like they shouldn't have, but they felt lucky to even have that moment where they could own that stage and how hard it was for women at that time to have a piece of the stage. And you don't want to give it up or get it wrong. So even when your life is falling apart off stage, you just whack on a bit more concealer, a bit more makeup, make yourself feel happy and get out there and entertain.
Yeah.
That's what they were born to do, and they didn't want it to be taken for granted. And Linda Ronstadt would be the same. She's someone that started quite young, and once she had her spot, she wasn't going to give it up for anyone. She had a really interesting life, and she's one of those singers that didn't really write songs. She just took other people's songs and made them better than they could have ever done it themselves. So that's a really interesting part of her life too.
Well, we need to tell the good folks where you're going to be. Between now and then, you're going to be at home, I suspect, but on the 1st of May, which is a Thursday night, you will be at the Geelong Playhouse, which is, of course, part of our very fine Performing Arts Centre, and tickets still available for that. Then the next night, over at Ballarat, so you can actually watch it in Geelong on the Thursday night and then get in the car on Friday night and head over to Ballarat.
Watch it again.
Have another crack at it.
And vote differently that time.
That's right. That'll throw them out, won't it? And then on the Saturday night, Saturday the 3rd of May, you can sit at home and watch Anthony Green making a fool of himself with a computer that doesn't work, or go to Warrigal and get some tickets for that on the Saturday the 3rd. That's election night. And then on Sunday the 4th of May at 7:30, South Morang is Man, I Feel Like a Woman is what the show is called. But hang on. Oh, I've just got this new one. Hang on a minute. Stand by. Hang on. Stay. Breaking news, we have got the Coal Miner's Daughter coming back in June. I've just found that sound effect. It's quite good, isn't it? Coal Miner's Daughter in Broken Hill in June, then Swan Hill, Griffith, Mildura, and then later in the year in New Zealand. Nelson, Christchurch, Dunedin, Invercargill, Wellington, Whanganui. You're all over the place in New Zealand, and then back into Victoria in November to do Man, I Feel Like a Woman again in Horsham, Wangaratta, Bendigo, and others. You are going to be busier than a one-legged man in a bum-kicking competition.
Yeah, Yes, you're amazing that you've just reminded me that I've got more gigs this year.
Yeah.
And also I felt really great that you couldn't pronounce those New Zealand town names.
Yeah. So that's why I just went with New Zealand in the end, because I thought it was going to be easier to do. But, gee, you're going to be busy, which is good.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing year. I don't know what I was thinking last year when I was booking all of this, but I wanted to have a good go at it. And we've never been to New Zealand. We always hear about how popular country music is there. So off we went, and I've had to learn pretty quickly that anything starting with a WH is a Whanganui.
Yes, indeed. And there's a school in Shepparton called Wanganui Park, which is spelt very much the same way, but up in Shep, they're Wanganui.
Amber, one more. I'd hate to do it because it's like asking which is your favourite child, but if I said...
What's your favourite child?
You're going to sing one song for me tonight, Amber, what are you going to sing to me?
What am I going to sing? Oh, Blue Bayou, Linda Ronstadt.
Do you know what? I have got on the playlist between now and the end of the show, Blue Bayou. But it's not by Linda Ronstadt, nor is it by Roy Orbison.
Oh.
There's another one.
It's a very, very fine version, and you should stick around and listen to Gina Jeffrey's version of Old Paint.
Oh, well, I'm lucky enough to have recorded that song as well, and I've got Felicity Urquhart and Becky Cole in the album with the backing vocals on that one.
Yeah, I did see that, but I thought, we'll let Gina have a crack at that one a bit later in the day.
Amber, you have been refreshing and joyful this morning, and I'm looking forward to you coming to our town, because this sounds like a wonderful, wonderful show. You picked four absolute superstars of the industry to pay respect to, I think is probably the right way to describe what you're doing. And thank you so much. It's been a joy to talk to you.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
And we're going to take you out with a song called Things That Used to Shine by Amber Joy Poulton, not by Linda Ronstadt or Terra Nightwan. This is one that you can buy from Amber's website. You can also buy tickets from Amber's website, which is amberjoypoulton, Poulton.com.au. See you in Geelong.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.